Hi, guys. Welcome back to Hear Our Voices. This is your host, Khadijah. This is the podcast where we tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. I want to get into some business, right? I need you guys to follow me on social media. And when I say follow me, I mean Hear Our Voices. Even if you want to follow my page, but I'm like, Hear Our Voices have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, we have an what else? YouTube. If you're listening to me on YouTube, don't just listen. Follow, please. I'm asking you. But definitely look on our Instagram page. We put up a lot of resources on there, job opportunities, health fairs, baby showers, things of that nature. So if you want to go on those particular things and we try to update as much as we can, that would be great. And yeah, thank you for supporting. And if you want to come on the Hear Our Voices podcast, definitely reach out to me on email, on Instagram, TikTok. I don't go on as often, to be honest. So definitely check us out on there, and I can't wait to talk to you. See you next time, and thank you for coming back to listen to part two. Like when you finally walk into the shelter the second time, what did you feel? How was it? Seem like just all sad all the time? Did it? I've heard your sister's perspective of how she saw it and how her life was and things like that. I want to see how did you feel? How about school? How was things like that?
I feel like at first, I saw it as just kind of like it could be worse.
Right.
It could be a lot worse. And it's like, granted, this was already kind of like not the lowest, but it was a low.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like it kind of the longer we stayed there the second time around, the more like hopeless I felt, just because I felt like we're just kind of gonna like get or fall back into like the same pattern of just being trapped there in a way.
Mm,
Um, and not really trapped, but having nowhere else to really go.
got it. Do you think your relationship with your siblings changed or your mom changed with you, or you think it kind of stayed the same and you try to just get through what was happening?
I think it definitely changed, during that time at least, mainly because I think I was at that point in my life where I was just like angry at everybody and everything all the time. So like at least I'd like to think, at least with my sisters, I didn't have as much of an issue. Um, but my brother and my mother, most of the time we would be like arguing or fighting during this time.
Mm,
Um, it wasn't the like I feel like the space itself definitely didn't help in terms of like have how much we fought, only because everybody's just kind of like stressed out all the time during that period.
right.
Um, it also didn't help that like I think yeah, damn. Sorry, I'm just coming to the realization myself. But like almost exactly a year later is when COVID had started. And
Mm,
so it's like the back half of the time we spent there was like during the first couple months of COVID. And it just kind of like exacerbated the issue
mm,
because I think during that time that place was just like somewhere where we slept. It wasn't really like it didn't really feel like a home because I think in our minds it was just like, oh, this is temporary. Let's not get comfortable.
right.
Um, and so to go from like, oh, we're here at night, leaving in the morning to like go do school, clubs and whatnot, to oh, we're here 24/7 really thinned the patience we had for each other.
Right.
Um, and I think on my end at least, it also just felt a lot more, not a lot more stressful, but just it was a lot more annoying, specifically because of like the rules of that specific shelter, where most two people saying most shelters like will have a curfew, so it's like you have to be back to sign in at a certain time, but
Right.
also that like only I think it was over six only people over 16 could like have a key, to my
Mm.
understanding. And so during this time, I basically was just not really, I don't want to say held hostage, but I didn't really have much to do because um I couldn't really look for a job at the time. I was I think just 15, and the chances of a 15-year-old being hired are slim to none in the city
Right.
at least.
Right.
Um so yeah, I'm basically going to school. I'm kind of like waiting on somebody to like finish up their stuff so like we can go back. And it's like in between that, I'm just kind of like wandering aimlessly or like waiting on my mother and my sister. Yeah. It
Okay.
like I think it would have been slightly less miserable for me at that time if I was allowed like little bit more sense of freedom, but it's also there's actually no, yeah, because one shouldn't feel like they're like kind of like limitless, especially in a time where you kind of need to make people feel as if they have something to aspire to, they have something to look forward to. And it's just like you kind of get into that habit of like, oh, this is how your life is. It's not really going to change beyond that.
It's definitely, it sounded like it was a lot, to be honest. And it's like, especially towards the COVID part, I feel like it was like a traumatic event with just another sucky event on top of that. And that is hard
Yeah.
for a lot of people, even people in apartments. So, I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, DV rates went up, which is domestic violence, because
Hmm.
having being in a space, especially in New York City, is not like we have a big Texas or Florida radiating home. We have a two by four, it seems like, that we're living on, and we're trying to make it. And because we love it here, we don't move away. And we do have a lot of
Right.
resources here, right? But it's just like when you live in a tight space with somebody, you thought you knew them before because you only saw them a couple of hours a day. But when you have to be with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I feel like COVID, it seemed like it was on, it felt like forever. Like now goes very fast, like the regular New York life. I feel like when I go to other states, life seems so much slower. I feel like a week in like LA or anywhere I go, Florida, it seems like I've been that place for a month. But in New York City, a week seems like a day. Like it goes so fast.
It
And
does.
it, and in COVID, things were so slow. It's like looking like I have videos from it. Look like Armageddon outside. Nobody's on the street. That's very rare. Well, I should say that in Queens, where I grew up, it was not rare to see people not outside. Because where I live was very residential. So nobody's outside. People don't make a noise anyway. So if I was still living there, I wouldn't be able to tell that COVID made a difference because of just the way the location I was living at. But moving to Brooklyn and going outside and not seeing people outside like that, that even in the projects, there's less people outside compared to normal. And I hardly went outside in general. But when I did, I'm like, oh my gosh, you could probably walk on the street and not get hit by a car. That's not like it was so eerie on how things were. So to be in a place with your family and it's like you could tell the people who stuck together after COVID how they really love each other because, man, if you can go through this, you can go through anything with your family, to be honest. And a lot of people are gonna, fight a little bit more. Doesn't mean you don't love each other. If you gotta control and hit each other, like physically hitting, like, I think we got past the line there. But arguments are gonna happen, especially when you have like teenagers. People are growing into themselves. Mothers are like, "Oh my God, kids, just be quiet. I need some rest." It can be
Yeah.
a lot. And one thing I can't do, I cannot blame the shelter for that situation. We are all in it together, and I think that's one thing that brought us closer. But I think we kind of forgot that sentiment of a little bit in COVID, how we were all trying to help
Hmm.
each other but still stay alive, and we don't have that right now. And it's kind of scary. We can only feel that when something bad is happening, and then after that, we're like, whatever, we're good now, we're chilling, and I wish we could. I don't want COVID to come back. Never. But I guess it's still happening, but not like in that scale. I mean, I would love us to be more for a brother's keeper in a way that we make sure that people are okay and we are there for each other in the community. So I think that part of COVID for sure um would be nice to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. What do you think you do to try to prevent yourself not going back to homelessness now?
I think a lot of it is just like knowing I have my family to rely on. So like if I need to go back like in a situation, because one person be mm, yeah, one person being experiencing homelessness is a significant it's still difficult, but would be significantly easier to find solutions for that person versus a family.
Right.
And I would say, yeah, I'm privileged enough that I could go rely on my family if I need to, like um in a worst case scenario situation where yeah, I need to go back. I know that there's a bed for me or a place on a couch. Not everybody is unfortunately that privileged, but I also think a lot of it's just saving, um, making sure you have like some kind of money to make sure you can like make a break if need be, or just hey, um, we have something to like rely on for like a couple days or so to like get through to that next part. Um, Granted, I have like where I am currently is a dormitory for colleges, so it's not like I'm at risk, but you kind of get that like looming sense of panic. Like a couple months ago,
Hmm.
I had some financial issues with my university and I was sorting that out. But while I was sorting it out, um the deadline for like being registered for stuff or like to be say, oh, I am a student at the school, therefore or yeah, like I'm taking classes, I can live here. It was like coming up. And a big reason of or like a big anxiety of mine was, oh, what if I have nowhere to go? Because like I know I can't like take a pause, knowing myself, I can't take a pause on my studies, I will most likely not return just because of like how stressful it is. But at the same time, it's like I was going through all these scenarios in my head and looking back at it in my mind, I'm just like, that was never going, not that it was not going to happen, never going to happen, but this place is empathetic enough that it shouldn't have been a worry in my mind that, oh, they're going to kick me out of here. Um, but it's like it's just like looming anxiety from experiencing it before that kind of trickles in every now and then.
I understand. It's, do you think that's ever gonna go away? Or do you think that's something that's always gonna stay with you and shape the life that you live?
I think it's something that's always going to stay with me only because it basically was my childhood. Because even when we weren't in the shelter, the places that we were living were not healthy environments, or like they weren't designed to be healthy environments. Um, because like yeah, both apartments that we had lived in that were not the shelter, one was just a studio, which a couple people living in a studio. It's not the best.
Right.
Um, and then the other one was just a one bed apartment, which was a little more doable since we were able to at least split that up. So it's like you had a little bit more space to breathe, but it's you can still feel that like looming sense of like we're all on top of each other.
Mm,
And it's just like it creates a stressful environment like really fast. Like growing up, my family a lot of the times would make fun of me for being like, "Oh, I want some space to myself, like I want some privacy." Um they say that like I think it was 5 or 6 whenever, and I was like, "Oh, can a man just get some privacy?"
I'm done.
And yeah, which is like 5 or 6 year old, I don't know, yeah, but no, like it was a serious thing because it's like um I realize a lot of the times at least when I get overstimulated, I need some space to myself to just like kind of like re-regulate myself.
Right.
Um, and I think part of me as a kid had recognized that, which is why I would always be like, I need some space. I need some space. Otherwise, I'm going to like blow up and kind of like lose my mind. Or not lose my mind, but like I'll start screaming and crying or
Mm.
just screaming at everybody.
It can be a lot. Like, I think people don't like that's. I feel like a normal thing.
Yeah,
It's people. It's very overstimulating, and it's like you need a breather, and it's like I can't.
there's
Y'all are doing
nowhere
too much,
to
right? Just give me a second.
yeah. And in other households, you're able to do that. You're able to like get that space where it's like, oh, you're kind of like overwhelmed. You can go to your own room. You can go into this room, go into that room, walk outside real quick, take a breather. Um, in a family that large, combined with like a like limited options for housing, not one, yeah, privacy it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, just straight up. Um, wherever you go, somebody will be somewhere.
Even in the bathroom.
For the first couple of those years, yeah, because we were all young enough that,
Mm.
it's you can just one person can be using the toilet while the other's showering. One can do everybody can like do what they need to because it's also you would not have time to try and
True.
yeah, once we got older, yeah, and everybody got their space, or we're not doing that because like that's weird. But um it was a lot more efficient growing up, I will say. But yeah, it's like literally you can be using the bathroom. You're not somebody else is in there showering or somebody else is in there washing their hands. Um, it's at a certain point it gets to you.
Mm. I understand. I totally get it. I totally get the whole bathroom thing because I could be in the shower. My daughter's like, because we only have one bathroom in my apartment. So she's like, yeah, I'm using this. So I'm like, all right, sure. I also don't want to hurt you like holding your pee. So I totally get it. And I feel like sometimes these kids, even when they have the space, they're still in your business and they can't help themselves sometimes. But
Yeah,
no, I totally get it. I totally get it.
because
Definitely a lot.
I will say like in the broader aspect, like yeah, the bathroom thing was like funny. It's it is still kind of funny looking back at it, but I feel like that's also like fairly normal in some households where like you have a lot of kids.
Mm,
around the same age, like it's a lot more efficient to like everybody can get ready at the same time. So it's like we're all heading out the door. But it was that broader sense of just like I have nowhere to myself to like not even not even like oh I need to be myself more so just like I have nowhere to like just breathe, be not calm, yeah, I would say.
yeah,
And so it just created like a very miserable space.
I got you. So you think, especially when you were 14, being in a shelter with your family, from what you're saying, it really took a toll on your mental health. And that,
Yeah,
yes. Do you think it shapes
but
you how you are now because of it or no?
um a little bit. I will say the times I was just describing, that was the first time we were in the shelter
Wow.
because we like that's when like my sister was just born. My brother was like I think only 8 while I was 5, 6-ish at the time. So it's like that's what I more so meant by like all that. But
Right,
it's like yeah, even as like a 5, 6 year old, you're realizing oh you don't have space.
right.
I had space that second time around because like by that point it was just me, one of my older brothers, and both my younger sisters and my mother. So
That's still a lot of people. You said
it
like it's
is.
only three people in
It
you said me, my brother, my two youngest, and my mom. That's a lot of people.
is. It is. And it still was like very, we're all on top of each other. Like, um, the only reason me and my brother were able to like get our own space that second time around was because at that point my sisters were still 9 and 10, where
Mm,
it's like it's easier to have them with my mom so she can like supervise them while like me and my brother we're old enough like we're getting our own space, but it's also just like needing to like help out where we can. Um, to the question about like what it did it I would say that that second time around definitely like shaped me even to this day, I would say. Only because like there was I think a lot of habits that I started to like gain during that time, for
mm.
better, for worse.
What habits do you think you brought over?
Um, definitely like in terms of like clutter.
Mm,
Um, I wouldn't consider myself a super messy person, but I think just because like at the time like I kind of saw it as temporary, I didn't like feel the need to like make everything so neat and tidy.
I can see that.
And it's like now, years later down the line, it's hard to try and like keep ahead of like what actually is a mess and what is just like it looks messy, but I know where like I know because like that's like the structure I need to like function.
Right.
I would think another, yeah, I would say definitely another thing that like brought over from there was like sleeping wise. Um, actually, no, that sleeping habits I think were just something that like I've had my whole life. Just because again, it's like everybody, you're all in like such close quarters, you don't have that space. Like what the time when like everybody's asleep is like the only real time you get that sense of like I'm all alone. I'm able to like get able to like breathe in that space that I needed to.
Mm,
But it's like now, um, it's just hard to like try and like wake up before like 9 or 10 in the morning. Which, granted, that's I would say like fairly normal,
Right.
but also not. Just because like I feel like for most people, you should be able by the time like you're in your early 20s, you're able to like regulate yourself so like you can stick to a sleep schedule. And it's like I'll try so many different methods. Like after a week or two, it'll still like revert back to like going to sleep after like midnight, 1 in the morning, and not waking up until 10, 11 a.m.
See, I go to sleep late almost every night. I don't want to, but I have to get up at 5:45 and my daughter have to go to school. So tomorrow I
Ooh.
push it till 6. So but if on a weekend when I'm not going anywhere, I go to sleep around 2 or 3 in the morning and I get up around like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but I have nothing to do that Saturday. So I totally understand. I think another habit, well, a habit that I picked up, because in my mind it was temporary. So they in my place we had like places to put our stuff, and they would get upset at me because it'll make my place look junky because I would have just suitcases open. I had two suitcases, and like other things like bottles here, bottles there, because I would have to wash the bottles in there. And at the time, the shelter
Mm.
I stayed in the longest didn't have a kitchen, so we only had the bathroom to wash our stuff out, which is washing a baby bottle in the bathroom. If you have to, you have to, but it's like, who wants to do that? So you do
Yeah.
anything like I'm washing my plates in there. It was just a hot mess express. And so and the thing about it was old actually an old hotel that I was living in for the year. So I went one of the first places I went to was like this regular place where I guess they like a room with a I want to say a stove or a hot plate, one of the two. The second place I went to, 'cause it was I was like I got denied, so I had to go back and they put me in this nursing home, this old nursing home. I liked it there. And then when I came back from Jamaica, I went to this other place. Thank God that place I didn't stay because it was horrible. The refrigerator wasn't working, it was dusty. But the place I stayed at the longest was a year and change. And and none of these places I put my stuff away. So they used to get upset about me just living in my suitcase. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm leaving any day now. Like maybe it's kind of I didn't know about the system, how long it took. People said if you go to shelter, you're gonna get out right away. They lied to me. Most people don't get out of shelter right away. The average I want to say is like, oh, is not just gonna say it's over a year for family in New York City to stay in shelter. So if you get out in 3 6 months, you are the lucky few that's doing that. On average,
Yeah.
family in New York City is staying in a shelter for over a year. That's just a fact. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, these are the facts of New York City, right?
Mm. And what's
Um,
crazy is
yeah,
the I think when I was like doing a report for like a class of mine a couple years back, I think it's I don't know if it's like a mandate by DHS or just kind of like a recommendation, but during like the migrant crisis, and when Adams was like doing whatever the hell he was doing,
right.
they was like, oh, you only have 90 days, and I'm glad you said like the oh most stay over a year because it's like yeah, there is no way in hell.
Literally.
Maybe, and that's a big maybe before COVID, one would be able, like a family of three might have been able to find a placement in under 90 days, but most families in the homeless shelter are not those small families where it's manageable. They're families of four, families of five, six, so on and so forth, where you need like recommendations are, to my understanding, like you need to find a two-bedroom or a three-bedroom.
Right. Which is
There's no way in hell
right.
in today, in the year of our Lord 2026, you are finding a two or three bedroom. Um, with the landlord that will take Section 8 in under 90 days.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Unless you're in like in a special program like Anthos homes. And the only reason why those programs could work is because they already have not set asides. They already have relationships with landlords. So
Mhm.
they garner that relationships. Most shelters, they might have the housing specialists might have one or two people they know, but it's not, especially for bigger families, it's gonna be harder for them to get out and do things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, it's definitely facts. It's definitely facts. But let me get back to my habit because it was a oh so
Sorry.
no, you're fine. You're totally good. This is totally okay. My habit that I had, I didn't unpack. So now when I go to hotels, I have packing cubes and I have to pack my clothes away. If I don't, it annoys me. So it's like these things, some things people like, oh, just like life's not a quirk. But where did you learn that quirk from? You learn it from trauma that happened in your life, and now you just bring it with you the rest of your life, and you're like, dang, that sucks. But yeah, it's interesting. Like it's a lot. I like to hear
Yeah.
the perspective of a younger person when they talk about these things because it's very interesting how they see things and how things affect them and how we need to do better as a society to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. And granted, shelters needs to be there um at all times. I'm not a person who's gonna say we shouldn't have shelters at all. That's impossible. The only way that could happen is that we have always have vacant apartments, and if a person has a fire or a hurricane comes, we could put them in there right away. If
Right.
that's not the
And
case, it's impossible.
in other cities that might be possible,
Right,
big maybe.
right.
Given the housing crisis within the city right now, it's not possible
It
for
isn't.
you to be able to like if a crisis hits, you're able to find new housing immediately. Yeah.
Right. So we're always gonna need shelters, but we need few shelters. We need fewer shelters. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's a lot of stuff happening in the housing sector and things like that right now, which is crazy. They're closing the men's shelter and they're putting people in families, the men's in the family shelter, which is crazy to me. That now we have to move all these families to somewhere else, and then the kids have to get relocated for school, and all it's too much things happening. What we really do need
Yeah.
to do is shut down a good amount of the shelters. Honestly, another thing people are working on is like converting office space, but I know they're doing that in some areas and things like that. But we need to, I won't say build these buildings fast because some of these buildings are getting built way too fast and they're not built properly. I feel like personally, I'm not an
Hmm.
inspector, but people who are living in these buildings, things are breaking down in the buildings, and it hasn't been a year. So that might be a problem. You're building it fast, but are you building good quality? Maybe not as much.
Because
So we
it's
need to think
also
about
the problem with like why they're closing a lot of shelters as it is, because a lot of them are 40, maybe 50 years old.
right.
The buildings are very, very old.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they're open is because you can't, if you close it, that reduces like the amount of like shelter stock that is available,
Right.
where there's already not a lot available.
Right.
Um, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. So
But it's hard. It
it is.
it is.
Like, I do agree, I will say, with like we need to like reduce the amount of shelters because the solution isn't like having people bounce shelter to shelter, it's permanent housing.
Right.
Like the much more simpler or the much simpler solution is more so just like a crackdown on like development corporations that like own a lot of this housing stock.
Mm-hmm.
Crack down on like shitty landlords that will not all they care about is how much money they get. Um they they are they're not the root of they're not the root of the problem, but they're not a minority.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times when it comes to like the discussion of oh why is homelessness such a huge issue, it's immediately oh these parents are neglectful. Oh this person did something wrong in their life. Not a oh hey they lost their job, they couldn't find a job in time, and their landlord who is most likely a heartless piece of shit because mo not all but a decent amount of landlords like they all they care about is that bottom line. If you can't get them that money, unfortunately prepare to see that eviction notice.
Right.
um and so then they go to the shelter, but like they're looking for that job, they can't look for the job and housing at the same time, and it just you start that never-ending cycle of like you're stuck here, you don't want to be here, you want to get out, but you can't get out because you're looking for this, you're looking for that, you're looking for that. You're looking for so much. You're not actually able to like hold on to anything.
It's true.
And this is like this is more so where the landlord thing comes in, where it's like you if we force landlords to accept more um how accept more like government subsidies that provide like alternatives to rent or like provide the rent itself for like these tenants, we would see that like the homelessness crisis not it wouldn't completely end overnight because there's a larger nuanced discussion. There's so many things that like affect why people are homeless,
Right.
but at the very least we would see an almost immediate like shift in the amount of people that are able to find housing because landlords have no choice but to accept these Section 8s, accept these city FEPs, so on and so forth.
It's true.
Like,
We have to
I
crack
don't,
that.
sorry,
No, you're
more,
fine.
or just one last time. It's like, I don't see enough people pointing, like, I don't see enough people pointing the finger at landlords. I really don't. And that they are inherent, they're a big chunk of the problem.
They are. We are actually working on policy with landlords and about housing discrimination. Um, I see it both ways. I'm try when I look at a picture, I try not to look at it at one angle, like, oh my God, they're just bad landlords. There's some good ones, and then there's some
There
bad.
are.
And the bad ones are the people know they supposed to be taking the vouchers, and they try to change the law for that too. That's a different story. But they don't want to take the vouchers because all these people are just, they don't work, and they don't realize majority of people who are on it, because you're supposed to be working when you have this voucher. So they are working. They just don't have enough money to have everything by themselves. That's one. But as on the other hand, the city does not, well, for city FEPs, most times they don't pay the landlords on time. So if you're a smaller
Mm,
landlord and you need the money to pay for light, pay for water, like pay for these essentials to make sure that this a property can stay afloat. And if you have majority, like 75% of people in your your little place that you own, does not who has the voucher, and everybody is late, and it's not their fault because they paid their half. But you still need the rest of it to pay other things, and it's if stuff breaks, if plumbing happens, like these are not like small, like, oh, it's 250 to to save a toilet. It costs a couple hundred to 1,000 to get these things
yeah.
fixed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they have to have money in the bank in case something break down, and people want stuff fixed right away. They want heat for the winter. So it's like if you don't pay the landlords, especially if it's a smaller one, they do not have money sometimes, or maybe enough to fix a problem, especially if it's in multiple units. Because if it's a pipe, that might affect more than one unit. That might not just be one. And depending where if the pipe was outside the grounds, or is it inside? Because depending if it's in the outside the grounds, but it's affecting your building, that's a city problem. And if it's affecting the building, that's your problem. So it all depends on what's happening. You have to figure out where this thing is happening, because you might not even know where the problem even starting from. It might be a city problem, but it look like it's only in the building. And when you fix that problem, like it's still happening, you have to call the city. It's a whole thing. So it's like I try my best to see both ways on how these things are happening. But we do have a lot of housing discrimination for the vouchers. They need to get that underway, but the city has to do their part also. It cannot be, they do have a program called Current, and now from what I understand, now all the landlords are on that particular program, which is like you do everything directed, like it's online. So, but not all the landlords are on that, so that also makes things go slower. But the city in general, the government just works very slow when they do these things. I'm so confused on
Yeah.
how we're so backwards. Like, how can Facebook be faster than you? Facebook is, I think, at 20 years now. I am confused. I'm befuddled. Like, how can you not get this together? So, like, I don't understand what's going on over there. I don't know who's turning the papers, or who's giving the ideas, or whose ideas they're not taking. But obviously, they're not taking mine, because I can help. Well, granted, I can't design it, but I can tell you what's like. I can't physically make the app. I'm not. That's not what I do. I can give you the idea and tell you what I want the app to do, so you could do that. People out there who are much smarter than me in that way to design it the way I could tell them to do it. I gave you the, I did a half. I gave you the idea. People in boardrooms sitting around with I gave you the idea. Just do it. Like it's for free. So it's very weird environment and area and things like that. It's very it's a lot. And we have a lot to work on
Yeah.
in our community. A lot to work on. We are struggling out here. Whoever's listening and who could do something, we are struggling. We are trying to make it, and it's very hard for us to stay afloat and not drown in the society. And because everybody is for themselves, the people who are supposed to be guarding and lifeguarding, is only few of us doing the lifeguarding, and we're trying to save as much people as we can. But if it's only five lifeguards on deck and 1,000 people drowning, somebody gonna die. The fact of the matter,
Yeah.
somebody's going to die. It's gonna be more than a somebody, but people are going to die. We can only do but so much. It's only 24 hours in a day. We still have to sleep. We still got to think about our mental health. We still got to think about our family and what we have to make sure that our kids are fed, our kids are clothed, our kids have a roof over their head. So it's like people need to start being more lifeguards, but we also have to give the people who are going to be lifeguards tools to make sure they're proper lifeguards. Because if you're going to be a lifeguard and still not know how to save a person properly, you're going to be a waste of our tools, resources, and money that we're putting into you. We have to train these people right to make sure they're doing that. We need proper advocacy, and we need a community in general to hold each other accountable for what it's doing. We put people in positions to be elected, and we want to make sure that whoever's elected is working for the people because at the end of the day, they work for us. At this point, I don't even feel like they, I say that, and I don't even believe that 100% because I feel like even though certain people are elected, they're doing what they want. And I don't just mean one person. I feel like it's multiple people I'm seeing this problem with. We elect you, you run on these particular things, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Even though you ran on this particular, like, like city febs. I thought by now people were excited. I was excited. I'm like, I'm not gonna be excited until it actually happens about us implementing city febs properly and expanding it for youth and DV survivors. I thought we're in April right now. I think today is what's today's date? The 6th or 7th? I can't even tell what
Yeah, seventh.
day we're in at this point. I'm just trying to make it in 2026. And
Yeah.
I thought by now the city febs expansion would have been out there. But Donnie said, I'm that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run on these things. And granted, when he got in there, he did not know how bad. I don't. Well, from what he's saying, he didn't know how bad it was, which is fine. I think when he ran, he should have said, "I would try my best to get this thing, and this is one thing I have on my radar." I think that's what he said, and that would have made people less upset than what they are. People are
Yeah.
upset because you promised them something. You don't promise something you don't know nothing about. You weren't in this position before to say da 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 da. You saw what was happening in the previous administration, so you should have said maybe I'm gonna promise you this, but I'm not sure if that can happen. You know what I'm saying? We can't promise people stuff. When you promise people stuff, it's like a child. When you promise a child something, they're coming back to you 30 times every time to ask you when is it happening, when are we going, are we still on? And we at this point have to be the child in the situation and annoy you until we get it right. We have to be like my daughter, I don't tell her certain things before time because I know if I tell you something, what's gonna happen in November, I'm gonna hear a 50, 11 times a day until November when it's happening. I tell you maybe sometime the
Yeah.
day of or the week of that is happening so you don't annoy me to death. And we at this point, because you had promised the people, we have to annoy you until this is happening. People's lives are in danger. Especially if you're a DV survivor, you might go back to the abuser because it's like shelter is also traumatic because it's like you're almost like in a rock in a hard place in a way. And like you don't want to stay in shelter, you don't want to go to the abuser. It's like, what should I do? Especially for a person, some people, apparently a good amount of people in shelter don't even qualify for CDFAP. So we want to expand it anyway, but it's like some people don't qualify for that. We have HAVP. We wanted to get a certain amount. We only got half of the amount. So it's like we're trying every way to get people out of shelter and get into housing. And there's so many roadblocks into that. And landlords, I'm sorry, you can't be one of the roadblocks. I'm sorry. You can't be one of those roadblocks. You have to
You
get
can't.
together too on your part. If you want us to advocate for you, we can. But you also have to let people in your place. So we'll advocate for you. if you do your part by letting them into the space. But we have a lot of things to work on, guys. It's a lot of things. If you think you have nothing to do and it's like, I am bored today, we have 50 11 problems that you could take from the sticky board and use for your voice on some kind of platform in some way. Write some letter, send it to some senator. Please, because we have a lot of problems. It's only a few of us advocating. I'm just saying. And I know it's hard. I know you're tired. Just push an email. People send it out enough. Call your senator, call your representative, call your council person. Do something. Don't just sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, it's happening. The homeless is no. We are in a problem. We are people are drowning. Are you gonna be the one to save them? Or are you gonna watch them drown and say that wasn't my problem? But God forbid, the person who you seen drowning, you only saw the back of their head and they realized that was your grandmother drowning, that was your mom drowning, that's your sister drowning. And now it's too late because now we have a funeral, which costs a lot of money. They ain't cheap. And
Yeah.
now you're like, Dag, I wish I could have done something. If you did it now, we could prevent that. Granted, we all gonna die, but they have to die as soon if you just did your part. That sounds very morbid, but somebody got to tell you because obviously nobody's telling you the truth. But yes, but yeah. That's how deeply I feel about this. Uh,
And it's good because not a lot of people do feel at all about this topic.
right.
Like this is again the societal like reaction to homelessness, unless it's not or unless it's a family or like honestly, unless it's a family, they're not going to look the other way.
Right. And it's sad.
And I'm glad that like where it's like, oh, children shouldn't be homeless, but it's also what about the adults?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is just as scary, if not scarier, for them.
It's
Nobody asked to be put in that position.
it's true. It is true. So, what's your last words you got to tell the people? What should they be doing? How do you feel about it? What are you gonna do to help our society?
Um, ooh, that's a loaded question. Um, I think go like piece by piece. Regarding like what I'll do, what I want to do to like try and like mitigate this issue. I so I currently major in urban planning and geography within my university. And after graduation, I want to work like in a community development group or work with communities to just get more housing approved.
Mm,
Because yes, part of the issue is affordability, but also part of the issue is just there's not enough housing. Um, if there's like a lot more affordable housing, an actual affordable housing, because I
right.
think a lot of the times when I see like some stuff advertised as affordable housing, it's like 1,000, 1,500. Um, not that those numbers, no, those numbers are big. 1,500 a month should not be a number that people see as like a steal.
Right.
Um, yeah. Um, maybe work on policy to like, I don't know.
It's okay. You don't got to figure it all
Yeah.
out today on the podcast. You got the rest of
But
your life to go.
yeah, as for like I guess what I'd want to like leave people with. Treat people with respect.
Yes.
More and more I see society, everybody just become meaner to one another. And in a time where like we need to rely on each other more than ever,
Right.
we should we should be kinder to one another, especially especially to those that we see out on the street that don't have anything to like give, anything to like provide.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that like they need the most because they can't like they're gonna ask for everything because they don't have anything.
Right.
And even if it's just providing them a hot meal or providing them the resources for like somewhere to sleep for the night, it is significantly more impactful than just kind of ignoring them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I got you. But guys, we have come to the end of the podcast. I thank you for listening thus far. I would love you to come on as a guest to give resources or just send me over resources. We'd love to have them on our social media platforms, on our TikTok, on our Instagram. It's a lot of stuff happening, and we would love to grow this family bigger and better. So if you are a person who's interested in even helping and volunteering on the back end, we would love that also. But this here we are. Welcome again to the Hear Our Voices page. And we see you next time. Bye.